Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we've reached a milestone that feels both like an ending and a beginning. This is episode 100 of our journey together, the final chapter of our Foundations series, but also the launching point for what comes next. When we started this journey 99 episodes ago, I promised you that we'd build a comprehensive foundation for thinking about, preparing for, and actively shaping the future. We've covered an incredible amount of ground, from understanding super shifts in the transform model to mastering world building, scenario planning, and practical foresight applications. We've developed futures literacy, explored the spectrum foresight method, and just last episode, we discussed the futures-fluent mindset that ties it all together. Today, I want us to reflect on that journey, celebrate how far you've come, and most importantly, set you up for what happens next. Because the truth is, this isn't the end of your foresight journey. It's just the beginning. The journey so far. Think back to where you were when you first started listening to this series. Perhaps you were curious about the future but uncertain how to make sense of it. Maybe you felt overwhelmed by the pace of change or concerned about disruption in your industry. Or perhaps you were already working with futures methodologies but looking to deepen your practice. Wherever you started, you've now built a substantial foundation. You understand that the future isn't a fixed destination, but a space of possibilities that we actively create through our choices today. You recognize that change isn't just random, but often follows patterns that can be identified, analyzed, and navigated strategically. Let's briefly revisit the key elements of what we've built together. First, we explored the 9 super shifts, those massive structural transformations reshaping our world. From generational drift and intellifusion to tech acceleration, reality remix, power flow, eco-awakening, social quake, world mosaic, and bionexus, we've mapped the fundamental forces driving change across society, technology, economics, and culture. Then we dove into frameworks like the transform model, which gave us a structured approach to navigating complexity and uncertainty. We learned how principles like adaptability, natural transformations, systems thinking, and positive sum outcomes help us develop more resilient strategies in a rapidly changing world. We mastered techniques like world building and scenario planning, which allow us to imagine multiple futures vividly and systematically. We practiced designing physical and digital infrastructures, creating future cultures and societies, and imagining daily life in worlds shaped by different super shifts. We explored practical applications, how to implement foresight in your organization, measure its impact, communicate insights effectively, and develop future-ready teams. And we learned how to build your own personal foresight system, one that serves your unique context and goals. Through it all, we've been developing that futures-fluent mindset, the emotional, cognitive, and strategic capabilities that allow you to engage productively with uncertainty and change. This isn't just theoretical knowledge. It's a practical toolkit for navigating an increasingly complex world. And if you've been applying these ideas along the way, you've likely already noticed shifts in how you think, how you make decisions, and how you engage with the future. From learning to leading. So where do you go from here? How do you transition from learning about foresight to truly leading with it? The first step is to recognize that mastery comes through practice. The frameworks, methods, and mindsets we've explored aren't just concepts to understand. They're capabilities to develop through consistent application. The more you use foresight tools in real-world contexts, the more intuitive and powerful they become. Start by identifying your sphere of influence. Where can you most effectively apply futures thinking right now? Perhaps it's in your team's planning processes, your organization's innovation efforts, or even your personal career development. Begin where you have the clearest opportunity to make an impact. Then, develop a consistent foresight practice. This doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be as simple as a weekly habit of scanning for weak signals in your industry, a monthly practice of scenario development, or a quarterly futures review with your team. Consistency matters more than complexity. Remember that foresight is fundamentally collaborative. While individual reflection is valuable, the most powerful insights often emerge through collective exploration. Find or create spaces where you can engage with others around futures thinking, whether that's formal workshops, informal discussions, or online communities of practice. And perhaps most importantly, adopt what I call practical humility about the future. Recognize that no one can predict exactly what will happen, but that doesn't mean we should stop trying to understand what's possible. The goal isn't perfect prediction, it's better preparation, more creative exploration, and more adaptive strategy. The challenges you'll face. As you step into this futures-fluent leadership role, you'll encounter challenges. Let me prepare you for some of the most common ones. First, you'll face resistance to foresight thinking. In many organizations, there's a strong pull toward short-term metrics, immediate results, and concrete certainties. Introducing longer time horizons, multiple possibilities, and strategic exploration can trigger skepticism or even opposition. Don't be discouraged by this. It's a natural response to a different way of thinking. The key is to make foresight relevant to current priorities. Connect your futures work directly to immediate business challenges, showing how exploring multiple futures can reveal blind spots, identify emerging opportunities, and build more resilient strategies. Start small, demonstrate value, and gradually expand your influence. Second, you'll encounter the challenge of translating foresight into action. It's one thing to develop compelling future scenarios or identify emerging trends. It's another to turn those insights into concrete decisions and initiatives. This gap between foresight and action is where many futures efforts falter. Bridge this gap by creating clear processes for moving from exploration to execution. Build explicit connections between scenarios and strategy, between signals and decisions. Create simple tools that help stakeholders move from interesting insights to strategic implications to concrete next steps. Third, you'll face the challenge of maintaining foresight during crisis. When urgent problems arise, it's tempting to abandon longer-term thinking in favor of immediate firefighting. But often it's precisely during disruption that futures thinking becomes most valuable. During these moments, adapt your foresight approach rather than abandoning it. You might shift time horizons, focusing on the next 6 months rather than the next 5 years. You might reduce the scope, exploring fewer scenarios in less detail, but maintain the fundamental practice of looking ahead, considering multiple possibilities, and making decisions with future implications in mind. These challenges aren't signs of failure. They're natural parts of the journey toward futures fluency. Expect them, prepare for them, and develop strategies to overcome them. Your expanding impact. As you continue to develop your foresight practice, your impact will expand in ways you might not expect. Initially, you might focus on using futures thinking to make better personal decisions or improve specific strategies within your role. But over time, your influence can grow to shape team dynamics, organizational culture, and even broader systems. At the team level, your futures-fluent approach can transform how colleagues think about uncertainty, changing it from something to fear into something to explore productively. You can help teams move beyond reactive firefighting toward more proactive, strategic positioning. And you can foster more creative, innovative thinking by expanding the horizon of what's considered possible. At the organizational level, your practice can contribute to more resilient strategies, more adaptive leadership, and a culture that embraces complexity rather than oversimplifying it. Organizations with embedded foresight capabilities consistently outperform those that focus exclusively on short-term metrics or rigid long-term plans. And at the system level, your futures work can contribute to more thoughtful, inclusive, and responsible approaches to major societal challenges. Whether it's climate change, technological disruption, or social transformation, futures-fluent leaders help create better outcomes by considering diverse perspectives, long-term implications, and interconnected impacts. This expanding impact doesn't happen overnight. It grows gradually as you consistently apply foresight principles, demonstrate their value, and help others develop similar capabilities. But over time, the cumulative effect can be transformative. Continuing your journey. As we conclude the Foundation series, I want to emphasize that your foresight journey is just beginning. The field itself continues to evolve, with new methods, insights, and applications emerging all the time. Stay curious and continue learning. Follow developments in futures and foresight research. Explore adjacent fields like systems thinking, design thinking, and complexity science. Connect with other practitioners to share insights and challenges. Most importantly, keep practicing. The frameworks and methods we've explored gain power through regular application. The more you use them, the more naturally they'll integrate into your thinking and decision-making. And remember that foresight isn't just a professional skill. It's a way of engaging with life itself. The ability to consider multiple possibilities, to think systemically, to balance short-term actions with long-term vision. These capabilities enhance every aspect of how you navigate an uncertain world. A final reflection. Before we close this final episode of Foundations in Foresight, I'd like to offer a reflective exercise, one that brings together much of what we've explored throughout this series. Take a moment to imagine yourself 5 years from now, having successfully integrated foresight into your work and life. Visualize this future version of yourself with as much detail as possible. How has your approach to decision-making changed? What new capabilities have you developed? How do you engage with uncertainty and change? How has your influence expanded? Now, thinking like a futurist, ask yourself, what weak signals of this future are already present today? What small shifts in your thinking or practice are early indicators of this transformation? What super shifts might accelerate or challenge your development? Finally, create a simple roadmap. What are the next 3 concrete steps you'll take to move toward this futures-fluent version of yourself? Perhaps it's establishing a consistent scanning practice, organizing a scenario planning workshop with your team, or applying a specific framework to an upcoming decision. This exercise isn't just about planning. It's about embodying the very principles we've been exploring. You're using Foresight tools to shape your own development as a futures-fluent leader. Looking ahead. While this concludes our Foundation series, it's really just the beginning of our journey together. In the main Think Forward show, we'll continue exploring emerging trends, interviewing thought leaders, and diving deeper into the application of futures thinking across industries and challenges. We'll examine how the super shifts are evolving, bring you conversations with leaders who are applying foresight in innovative ways, and continue building the community of futures-fluent thinkers who are actively shaping a better tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on this foundational journey. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we actively create through the choices we make today. And having developed these foundations in foresight, you're now better equipped to navigate complexity, spot emerging opportunities, and shape what comes next. Remember that in times of accelerating change, the greatest advantage goes to those who can see possibilities before they become obvious. You've developed the tools to do exactly that. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.